again, everybody. It's John Osborne, also known as Trader John O. You can follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. Let's go ahead and look at what we have in our Forex educational outlook. We're going to start out by looking at the pound loonie. You can see that we had this move down. This is a general trend upwards, and then a little bit of a mini trend downwards with a break of that mini trend that brought us right up. We're going to see this pattern a few times in what we look at for today. And what we want to do is look for an opportunity to get in after that move up. So what we did have is a kind of like a second or a double top here, and that reconfirms this trend line or this resistance line here as a potential entry, and we'll watch for that to break higher. It's starting to take a little longer than I'd like to see it, but we do want to watch that 1.72762 for a potential break higher now that we did break it. Similarly, we've got the pound Swissy. Now the pound Swissy is having a little bit more of a pullback after its move here, and this gives us a better opportunity because now we're not all the way back up towards the line. We're back a little bit. So let's keep an eye on if we can break above this trend line here. It's about the 1.27979 area. It might take a little while to get up there, but we want to see if we can continue this up move here after a little bit of a pullback. And one thing that's driving that is we look at our weekly, you can see that we broke above this pennant pattern that we had here, and we're making some pretty good progress. And how high can we go? Well, the first resistance after we broke through the pivot there, but the next resistance we're going to see is about 129,129. So we're going to keep an eye on that because we went up pretty close to that. Okay, and that might be why we're pulling back here a little bit before we make another attempt to go through that. So if you do take this one long, watch out for the resistance that you'll see there, and then the next resistance will be this pivot right here. Another one of these is the pound dollar. Okay, almost the same setup as the pound Swissy, and that's not surprising. You can see here though that we've already broken above this resistance, so we've already gone a little bit further. This one might have a better chance of making a better comeback if we can break above this resistance line. Now here's one we don't look at very often, the Hong Kong dollar versus the Japanese yen. And you can see we've got a pretty well defined pennant pattern here, and we want to keep an eye on this one. We are generally moving downwards in as far as the daily trend and on the weekly trend, so we more likely expect it to break lower, but it could go either direction here. I think the one that I'd be more interested in is to break lower. We can draw that same line in on the 240 and watch for a break similarly. So let's see what happens tomorrow. We've got such strong bearishness on the weekly and pretty good bearishness on the daily, so let's see if it will try to make that run down. The Kiwi yen has a similar pattern, except instead of a pennant we kind of have a rising or an ascending wedge. So this one here is in the same descending mode, so I'd still expect it to drop lower. Now what's kind of nice about this one is that we've already broken this trend line that's defined here along the 120. You can see it here on the 240 as well, and that means that it's been weakened a little bit, and therefore if we can get a move back down again towards this line, it's more likely to just go right through there and head us down through the line and onto the next previous pivot, which would be the low of 75.856. So let's watch to see if we can break below this trend line and look for a short. And finally, we've got the dollar loonie. Now the dollar loonie also did that same move where we moved up through a resistance line here. And again, it's quite interesting that we are still moving along this weekly trend line, and we're right at that trend line where we are right now on price. So it'll be interesting to see if this thing can break above this trend line and move higher. But it looks like it wants to do that, because if you look at our bullishness on the weekly, even on the daily it's starting to move up, but certainly on the 240 and the 120 it's moving up. So this one's kind of interesting in that we were looking for more bearishness on the other pairs, but this one looks like it wants to be a little more bullish. But we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. And I think the first resistance that we're going to be looking for, now this one here would be our first resistance, that's already been broken. So the next resistance will be up at 1.35330. And that'll do it for today. Hope you have a great rest of your day.